This is kind of a change of pace for the channel. This is not going to be totally off or anything, but I found an article that fits a lot along the lines of who I am, what I am, how I've shaped myself and becoming myself. Does any of that make sense, or am I just rambling? I don't really know, but there's this article here. Helping a firstborn with social anxiety. Okay, I'm the firstborn. Okay, I have a younger sibling. Okay, so I wanted to read through this with you guys. I wanted to take a look and add my commentary because, you know what? Probably, when did I really, kind of change? Probably like my late teens, early 20s, okay, when I broke out of the shell of being just like the big, tall, quiet giant. It was probably somewhere after I started to, really started to see gains and changes by going to the gym, okay, really started to assert myself, having to make a conscious effort that, growing up, okay, Donald over there, he was a nice kid, he was a smart kid, he was a quiet kid, he would always have the answers to things, he didn't really, want to push the envelope, he just kind of wanted to keep to himself. But then that's not how you go through life. That's not how you become successful. Okay, that's how you end up getting pushed around. That's how you start to have a lot of people project their insecurities. You have a lot of people try to project what they think about the world onto you because you're just kind of there. You're just kind of existing. You're just kind of going along. So maybe that comes along with being the firstborn, but I am very thankful. Okay, and I know that there's nothing I could do to really change us, but I'm incredibly thankful that I was the firstborn because, yeah, you had a lot of responsibility put on you. Okay, you kind of had to act like the de facto third parent. You had to grow up quicker than your sibling. Okay, especially if you're close in age. I don't really know the difference. It's like, okay, if there's several years gap in between the two, I don't really know if that makes much of a difference. But with me and my sibling, we're very, very close in age, within a couple of years. I don't want to get into too many specifics because it's not really terribly important to the video that we're doing here, but I'm incredibly thankful for my upbringing. I'm incredibly thankful for how it has shaped my adult life, mostly because, yeah, there were trials and tribulations from going from a shy, impressionable, easily push-aroundable, is that a word? Don't really know, don't really care, either words, to being who I am today at 31, just about 32 years old, okay? There was a lot of transformation that took place over the years, and I'm incredibly thankful for that. So, found this article, we're going to go through it, I'm going to add my commentary where I think it's important to see where the distinction is, and maybe if you are also an older sibling, okay, you might find some help with this, or you might find some use in this, rather. Being the oldest sibling and having a shy disposition isn't an easy combination. Why? Oldest children are expected to be the highest functioning and independent of all, to be more self-sufficient and mature than their younger siblings. Yeah, you got to take a brunt of the stuff, okay? Because, the buck kind of stops with you, okay? Because the younger sibling, yeah, they can get away with a lot, okay? I could tell you stories about that, but another topic for another time. But if I didn't make sure that things weren't done by the time that parents either got home, okay, or if things weren't taken care of maybe at school, if things weren't cleaned up appropriately, the kids would be acting up, okay? So a disclaimer at the beginning is true. It's true. The beginning of the article, not at the beginning of the video, obviously. They're continually frustrated with younger siblings soaking up their parents' attention. Or just like, why do you continue to act out? Because, you just really like attention. You'll just do it regardless and however you can get it. Okay, I get it. It's something that I didn't really recognize until much later in life. But again, as a result, oldest kids have little choice but to get their emotional needs met from outside the family with friends, peers, and organized groups, or by yourself. Anyways, anecdotally, there's a reason why many of the CEOs and other high achievers I've met, this is Anthony Rao, by the way, I don't know. A lot of my friends growing up were actually the oldest siblings, okay? Most of my best friends growing up, actually, yeah, all of them. But then they just ended up moving away, so I was constantly left alone. Sorry, not meant to be Don's pity party. I'm just recanting my life. Anyways, they embraced independence early in their childhood, but almost all had higher social skills, and that worked great. And they adopted an early worldview, and that they made their that they had to make it on their own. Yep, that built confidence. That built mastery. But when the oldest also struggles with social anxiety or shyness, I would say, okay, I can't really relate to anxiety because I don't really know if that really affects me, or maybe if I do find myself afflicted by that. I guess it's just not that big of an issue, okay? Like, it's been described to me as a fear about what's happening in the future, okay? Maybe it's one of those things where it's just recently, okay, within the past 5 or so years, can't quite pinpoint it or not, but just changing my mindset on this type of stuff where it's like, oh, okay, if I can't control it, there's no use in worrying about it, and if I can control it, let's just get to the bottom of it, and let's just sew all that stuff up, let's just categorize it, deal with it, and then move on from that, and then just take on something new, okay? Constantly moving towards something. Maybe that staves off anxiety, okay? But shyness, oh yeah, definitely. Okay, growing up, yeah. I was just like, oh, okay. And another thing, just growing up, like, there was adult time and adult talk, and then there was a certain amount of proper customs and traditions that you needed to adhere to, and then it just, I don't know, maybe you thought that it just kind of switched at a time where eventually, okay, you were a child up to a certain age, but you didn't know who that was or who that applied to for certain people. It was all of this gobbledygook that just kind of rattled around in me dome. They can interfere with the progression to the outside world beyond the familiar comfort and safety of the immediate family. So while social anxiety stresses all kids, I think it's hardest when firstborn kids have it because they get pushed quicker into the outside world without a role model in front of them to show them the ropes. Fair enough. Parents also are less experienced with their firstborn, so there's more urgency in worrying, communicating by parents. And anxiety is contagious. Most of the anxious kids I've worked with got a lot of that anxiety early from their parents unintentionally. Single kids, okay? The only children, rather. That'd be the best way to put it. Sorry, I haven't been around kids often. Jeez, what am I, a creep? But I had another friend growing up. He was an only child, and the kid was neurotic until he just snapped one day, and then he went completely off the rails. I hear he's doing well in life, but yeah, he went from being as straight and narrow as it possibly got. Then he got a girlfriend, and a different type of girlfriend, okay? And he went completely bonkers, which is totally his prerogative, and I hear he's living a great life because of it, and muzzle tough and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, he was a goofy kid. Know that the shy oldest child wants to be strong and independent and get close to others outside their family, but it causes them fear. That fear often wins out, holds them back. The more they escape from social contact, it reinforces to them that maybe there's something dangerous or bad out there. I don't necessarily know if I can relate. That doesn't sound terribly far off either. Hence they pull back further, stay indoors, don't separate, go less on play dates. Growing up, not so much. I would always try to go around my circle of friends, okay, especially during grade school and during high school, whenever in school, okay, be out on weekends. And then even in college, like, I was a big UFC guy at the time, I would go out for all the big fights with one of my best friends from college, okay. We'd go out then, but then as soon as work started, it's like there's work friends, okay, they were compartmentalized, okay, over there. But I guess we're talking specifically about the time when I was quote-unquote shy. That would make sense. Barely do sleepovers every single weekend whenever possible. I would say in a month, probably 3 out of the 4 weekends was probably a sleepover either at my place or over at my friends' places. Okay, that always happened. They don't reach out to other kids when bored to turn to screens to kill time. Maybe that would have been okay if I was growing up in the modern age. Maybe that would have been the case, but these are also just little things that you should be picking up if you have children out there. Okay, if you're watching this at some point in time. A place where they artificially can feel competent, empowered, but this isn't real, it's virtual. Okay, listen, this is where I can just interject a bit, because growing up, okay, when I wasn't out there playing with my friends, okay, spending time out there, and even when we were playing games, okay? We were playing video games because up here in Grand Prairie and in northern Alberta, where I did most of my growing up, okay, for half of the year, okay, and for most of the school year, the outdoors is trying its best to kill you with 20, 30, 40 below temperatures for 6 months out of the year. So you would go inside and you would play fighting games. I played fighting games with my friends, and that was even over summer vacation as well. We'd also go outside and stuff, of course, but that's only when it was actually nice, which those days are also few and far between. But when it came to feeling artificially competent and empowered, We would play, I remember specifically, man, we'd run back and we'd play old Final Fantasy games, old role-playing games, okay? And we go along the hero's journey. I can't tell you the number of times we'd run back and we'd play Final Fantasy 7. Okay. Or even in some of my older days, like we'd play co-op Halo runs and we'd just run through all that stuff as well. And yeah, I guess we were living out power fantasies, but we were also problem solving and also learning different decision-making tactics and ideas. So again, just dismissing artificial or virtual time as being needless and wasteful. I don't really know. In excess, obviously, but everything in excess is something to be noted and regulated, rather. Over time, avoiding contact with others solidifies beliefs like, I don't really like the other kids. Well, you know what? The other kids could be kind of stupid, so, you know. No, if you have your group of kids, I get it. And all of this stuff is incredibly difficult, okay? Just speaking specifically about Grand Prairie again, once again, okay? I think it's just the high schools right now, but we're shifting back to virtual learning, which definitely, the third year, it's been disrupted, okay? So theoretically, somebody who went into high school in 2020, okay, their grade 10 year, every single year of high school for them has been interrupted. They have not had in-classroom learning, and just thinking about that, because you had your upper grade school, okay, all 3 of those years, early development, setting the standards that going home and just staring at a computer screen over and over and over again, that's going to be the norm. Regardless, 3 years, man. 3 years of this nonsense. I want to talk about making some developmentally retarded kids? Not like, you know, helmet enthusiasts, but the textbook definition of retarded. Slowed down. Let's jump ahead a little bit. If you're seeing a lot of frustration, meltdowns, and regression in your oldest, it's likely due to being stressed. Oh yeah. Held myself to such a high standard, and if I didn't meet it, and if I didn't falter, oh boy, would I cry. I would cry. I was such a crybaby, okay? Now, in my older age, every once in a while, okay, something will catch me that's just really goofy, okay? But not like way back in the day. Like, oh my gosh, everything, such a crybaby. But you grow out of that stuff. So, start by giving it a name, okay? Say you're the oldest, it's the hardest position or job. Yeah, that's what you should consider your day-to-day activities at job. What are you, stupid? There's no one in front of you to show you the way. It takes courage. We expect more, and that's stressful. We will get you there, but it will be tough. It's not perfect, and learning as we go along too. You need to be treated uniquely in this family, so help us help you. Tell us what you need. Yeah, and then if that's coming from a parent to a younger kid, okay, I think communication techniques also need to be developed, because if you just say, what's wrong with you? Huh? No, I'm trying to help, and just like awkwardly pat them on the shoulder like they're a lost dog, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Regarding social anxiety, do not push too hard or too aggressively to fix or treat it, but slowly move things in the right direction. Keep your child more and more encouraged outside the home with positive and safe peer relationships and organized group. Yeah. If there's one thing that I regret about growing up is not going farther in organized sports. If I could do that again, if there's one thing in life that I could do over again, it's continuing to go through. Probably with baseball, I think I probably reached as far as I wanted to go, like actually wanted to go, like not seeing any sort of a tangential benefit going forward. With football, it was like I was going to destroy my body if I would have went any further with that. Baseball, yeah, that one still bugs me from time to time. For example, if he's on the intellectual artistic side, I think science activities, robotics, iLabs, maker spaces, and consider fun, low pressure classes in art, music, and theater groups. Or you know what, if you live in places that don't have any of that stuff, you know, like a lot of places, especially in northern Alberta or anywhere really in Canada that's not in like your 7 major cities, consider using that very important thing that you're kind of watching this video with. Use the internet, okay? Invest in books, invest in literature, and then of course engage in some of those groups if they are available to you. Or I don't know, be a parent and take some initiative and do that with your kids yourself. Just saying. There are cool museum programs for kids. Provided provided your local museum actually has those programs or is actually open more than just the summer. And think more individual sports like martial arts, tennis, cross country, track, swimming, gymnastics, wrestling, and keep an eye out. Or how about just weight training? How about just exercising? How about stuff like that? How about helpful stuff like that as well? Because that's what definitely transformed my life. There is not one single thing. Like, I can constantly point out my one regret, my one thing that fundamentally changed my life was that moment I could not fit into a triple XL t-shirt, breaking down and going to the gym. And I cannot thank my mother more than making that possible by taking us to Maximum Fitness when I was 16 years old at my absolute lowest. Fundamentally changed my life. More cooperative sports that tend to draw a more academic type, like ultimate frisbee. And again, a lot of these groups and a lot of these activities don't exist, okay, outside of major cities. Okay, like, you're looking at cities that have like 100,000 people in them. Okay, I know for most of the United States. Okay, and probably for most of the audience, you guys are probably in larger-ish cities. Okay, that probably have access to these more community-based activities. They're just not possible in a lot of places as well. So you need to be a parent. You really do need to be a parent. In short, everyone can shine. Everyone has the potential, and it has been explored. Read up on Carol Dweck's work on mindset, be flexible, whatever. Don't need to read the rest of this stuff. So yeah, your oldest kid's not weird. Your oldest kid is probably, yeah, like it points out here, probably under a lot of stress. Probably just wants to make sure that, you know, everybody's taken care of, trying to do the best they can. And sometimes, you know what, hey, if you push them in the right direction, if they become more independent on themselves, the best thing you can do to help them out is to just leave them alone. But if they're obviously exhibiting signs of needing help, go help them out. But otherwise, you know what, more often than not, these older children are far more independent. And if you just set them up for success instead of just guiding them along the path of success, they'll be able to take care of themselves. But that's just the commentary from somebody who lived this stuff firsthand, and obviously everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different. But this piqued my interest. I seen the article, read through a little bit of the opening there, and thought that adding to it would be fun, and it was. And it ended up going longer than I anticipated, but that always tends to happen. So, with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I'm Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.